You talked last time about how you expect QB battle to go all the way up to first game potentially, but as far as, regardless of who runs out with what team, what do you feel like KJ and AJ specifically need to show you over this next month or so?
Yeah, I think at every one of those players of that position, let's just start with the quarterback in general, because I think I could say and tell, well, hey, this guy needs to work on maybe better deep ball, this guy needs to work on touch pass, but so much of that is just kind of what we've seen. That they're kind of throwing the ball and some of the stuff from their previous film. And so now that we're actually getting into real football, there'll be so many of those actual specifics. Hey, this guy needs to open up his hip more on this, the intermediate concepts, hey, the screen game, whatever that looks like. But I think with all the quarterbacks, is who can communicate the best, who can put us in the best situation to run an effective and efficient offense, right? It's great if a guy's got a rocket arm, right? We always say, oh, he's got the best arm. That's great, but if they can't put us in the right protection, if they can't communicate, if they can't be a leader, right? I don't care if they're running with a third-team offense. If they can't lead that group and command that group to do what they need to as an effective offense, it doesn't matter. And we're going to have situations, right? We're going to do 2-minute situations before the end of a game, right? Hey, a minute 36, one timeout. Who can take control of that? That doesn't mean they're always going to win the drill. That doesn't always mean they're going to have the highest completion percentage. It's not like a kicker you just thought, well, this guy was 80%, so that's going to be our guy. I think so much of that has to be judged with what they want. But we want to see those guys step up in a leadership role. We want to see those guys take great command of what we're trying to do offensively and put us in the best situations, even on a run play that may need to be checked or killed to a different thing, that they're putting us in the best situation to have success.
Coach Ramsey called this a big fact-finding spring when he was up here last time. What do you feel like are the biggest things you need to learn about your team overall? We've talked a lot about QBs, but are there any specific positions you really feel like you need to hone in on over the next month or so?
And that's the one thing I wish I could sit here and say, yeah, it's just this position. There's a fact-finding for every single person in our organization. And you guys are going to hear me often talk about it, right? It's not just the quarterback position, right? Like I'm excited to see what our coaches are capable of, right? Yes, I've worked with some of them and all those things, but I think for every single one of us as an organization, right, I'll call it 200 people, right? This is going to be a great opportunity to kind of see, okay, now stuff's for real. This is no longer a Wednesday afternoon in a 72-degree environment. What's it going to look like? I'm going to put every single person in our organization, including myself, in a stressful situation, in an opportunity that's going to be put everybody in a little bit of uncomfortable feeling, and seeing how they do and seeing how they thrive. And that goes with every single one of our coaches, our staff, myself included, and every player. So there's going to be fact-finding for every single person in the organization, which I'm thrilled about because I cannot wait. Every single day is going to have its own process. But right after that spring game, we're all going to have a better understanding of what each person or organization, their weaknesses and their strengths. Because sometimes everybody always, what do they need to work on? What are their strengths and how can we build off of those as well? And so very optimistic about where we can go and how this is going to grow. And then with every position, right, within itself, what are we capable of doing here? What does this look like? How do we need to get this thing? But I'll say this, right? Can we continue to be really good at the controllables this spring? All the things that we can control as we go out there. Are there daily improvements, right? And sometimes it's incremental. One player may improve 1%. One unit may improve 10% over 10 practices. But is everybody in our program giving the best version of themselves every single day? And then are we making those daily improvements throughout this process?
Yeah, speaking of just, what you want to see, I'm curious, the offensive and the defensive lines there, coming into the spring, what are you hoping to learn about the trenches?
Yeah, I hope the biggest thing we can take away is it's a bunch of physical guys, right? That's the number one thing I want. I think the fundamentals obviously have to be on point. I think over time, with all the different things, everybody wants to get cute in schematics, you lose the basic fundamentals in the trenches, right? And so, I want our D-line to be the most fundamentally sound in the country, right? Great with their hands, great timing on their get-offs. I don't know if we're going to be the most physically imposing, the fastest. I don't know that. But I want them to come off with a demeanor, right, that people say, holy cow, and no different than the offensive line. So I want our trenches, when we leave this thing, saying, we got a bunch of tough asses. We got a bunch of guys that are willing to fight you every single play. On the O-line and the D-line, guys that love ball, that are coming out swinging with the right mindset and the right approach. And kind of one of these deals, I want every day that they're taking it, other than those helmet practices, it's a true battle. And the mindset to dominate their opponent. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And then, okay, hey, what does it look like? Can these guys affect the quarterback on third down without having to blitz? That's something we'll learn about our defense line. Hey, can the O-line, what kind of schemes can we run? Are we just going to be a wide zone team, a true outside zone team? Or are we ability to run gap schemes? And so I think there's just so many of those things. But on the basis, a macro level view, right? a bunch of tough guys that are going out there and fighting their tails off every day that are willing to impose their will.
And before the week break hits, what are kind of your top priorities for first week?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is what you want to see is we don't want – listen, it's our job as coaches to make sure the effort's there, right? It's our job to make sure that they're getting lined up. But there should be a drastic improvement from day one, right? Just guys understanding, hey, this is where we stretch. This is where this drill is. This is what from day one to day two, right? And then the speed of the game should pick up. And then that third practice with it being full pads and some live aspects of it, like, okay, right, you're going to be able to tell really quickly who doesn't mind the physical aspect of the game. And so I think we're just going to learn a lot, even those first three, like, hey, who can make those improvements, who can play faster, because the speed from practice 1 to practice 2 should increase immediately, right, just because of a knowing, a comfort level. There's going to be a lot of angst for every single person out there, right? I even have coaches, like, studying their roadmap of, like, okay, where's this drill supposed to be? Where am I? Okay, I got this much time. And so it's flowing a little bit smoother, and it's my job to orchestrate that, and our job is to make sure we're all on the same page. But ultimately, okay, hey, we improved every single day, back to what I was saying earlier. And then when we get back from that break, okay, the base installs, days 1 through 3 installs are in. Can we still be able to retain that information and go out there for that fourth practice and do it at a high level?
And are you continuing, or I guess are you planning to continue the War on the Hill into the spring, or planning on having anything similar?
I love it. Great question. Yeah, so that the War on the Hill that we kind of talked about, we will continue to do it. It may be something as simple as we get closer to the Masters Week, like maybe we'll do a chip shot for each team for a golf, and that's worth some points. But the one thing we'll continue to do is we monitor, right? Each team is still responsible for community service, right, their academics, culture violations, all those things. So that's kind of cool because it's still monitored every single day. In fact, we'll even implement a lot more of it into special teams. So we'll do some special teams drills instead of just, hey, running back and forth to the cone and blocking each other. It may be Hog Team 6, right, versus Fayetteville's Finest, and they're doing a drill versus each other. It's a special teams competition. Get to see guys do it in a different manner. So we're going to continue to implement all that all the way through the end of spring.
Coach, some guys that maybe took a jump during off season. Any guys in particular?
No, I think you get to see once these guys got settled in, and a lot of it's these freshmen, right? Like you get these freshmen that have graduated high school, right? They should be thinking about prom and all the other things, and all of a sudden they're thrown right into the mix. And they're like, oh, well, I lifted weights in high school, I ran. And wait a second, this is SEC football and the strength and conditioning. And then even for the transfers, right? A lot of people, I came from this school, so this is, we won a bunch of games, so this could be easy. And they get hit in the face, and they're like, holy cow, this is a lot. This is just like I told them in recruiting, like we're going to outwork people. We're going to do these things at a high level. So I've just been pleased that first 2 weeks for a lot of people it was, man, a baseball bat square in the nose. And then, okay, I can get through this. I'm going to push through this. I'm sore. I'm tired. All these things, but embracing now what it's all about. And so, I think it wouldn't be fair to just single out a single individual. But I've been pleased, especially a lot of those true freshmen, because at first you're like, man, he's just a baby. But you get to see some of the growth for some of those guys. And it's not that I'm trying to avoid giving you guys specific names, but it wouldn't be fair because I truly there's a handful of guys that are still taking that baseball bat to the face every day and need to be able put that catcher's mitt in front and say, okay, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be able to handle this the right way. But the majority of the guys on our roster have said, okay, cool, this is what this is all about. We're going to attack this thing head on and actually going to take that baseball bat and swing it back the other way.